kicking off this 10 o'clock hour. Annually, each and every championship Sunday, it's a tradition. Michael Brown from Empire Auto comes in. Last year, you were on the road. You were at a dance competition last year.
That's right, Moose.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Dance competition last year. This year, you're in studio. How are you?
Hey, it's great to be here. I really appreciate you having me.
No, it's great. It's always, I love talking football with you, right? We got Pick, Win, Drive, and it's fantastic doing that. And
you didn't tell me I was coming up after Mr. G, though. That's tough to follow.
Well, that's it. You were, you and Jill were in the room with Eddie, with Zoo, and Danny and Greg, and Mr. G's on it. Everybody knows Mr. G. What a legend.
He's a legend.
That's exactly right. All right, before we get into the championship games, let's talk a little bit of Jets here. Are you happy that they're sticking with their head coach, Robert Saleh?
I think you have to. I think right now with what's gone on, I don't think there's a choice because you've put so many things into play. If you're going to get rid of the head coach, you really got to blow the whole thing up. I mean, and this is Aaron Rodgers' team, right? I mean, that's one thing that's been made very clear. It's his team, for better or worse. So we're going to go into the offseason and, you look back and see where we did wrong. I don't think that Joe Douglas ever expected in his wildest dreams that Vera Tucker was going to go down. And I think that is the biggest piece of the season here.
Well, what's the yes?
The Aaron Rodgers injury, obviously. But they still had a chance to win some games. AVT goes down, and now you have – here's where Douglas went wrong. He put his faith in his former first-round pick in Becton. He was going to be a guy that was going to be a swing. Now he has to play. And almost a 40-year-old tackle in Dwayne Brown. That's where I think we went wrong here.
Now, the offensive line's got to be something that that's got to be prime important. Everyone wants to talk about the receivers, Michael, but the offensive line's got to be something you address this offseason.
Completely needs to be revamped. You look at the weapons that we do have, and yes, we definitely do need a number 2 receiver because Alan Lazard is not it, right? How many times do you see your number 2 receiver be a healthy scratch? That's not good. But I think there's players on that team, and we can make up some of those sins between our tight ends and our running back play. The issue is the trenches. You got to fix that offensive line. And if you don't do that, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be playing a full season.
Now, let me ask you this. What do you think Rodgers looks like next year coming off the torn Achilles? What version of Aaron Rodgers? Because the AFC's gotten a little bit more difficult now. Harbaugh's coaching the Chargers. You expect them to be significantly better. You still have Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I mean, it is a difficult road to hoe when you're looking at the Jets and the AFC, not necessarily just the AFC East. What version of Rodgers do you think you get in 2024?
I think it's a really good question. The one thing I will say is I think Rodgers will make everyone better. I think he'll make the offensive line better. I think he'll make the receivers better, and I even think he'll make Breece Hall get more out of himself. So I think that's what you get when you get Aaron Rodgers. You're going to get better play from the offense overall. Is he going to be what he was? That remains to be seen. An Achilles injury is really tough.
Really tough, especially at 40.
Yeah, at that age, that's a problem. But, he's proved before. He's had injuries. I think, listen, his QB and football IQ is off the charts. So I think with that, he's going to make the team better and make the players around him better. Can he stay healthy? Again, I go back to the offensive line. This is something that really has to be focused on, and they got to make some tough decisions. Is Becton going to come back? There's an option there. Is AVT's option going to be picked up? Yeah. What are you going to do to fill these slots? And is AVT going to be a guard or a tackle? So you have some decisions you have to make.
Do you think this staff is good enough? Like, if you had to make one change on the staff, would it be Hackett?
1,000%. And that's the whole problem with Aaron Rodgers coming in here and giving the kind of autonomy and power that he's gotten. He's brought guys with him that have not produced, whether it's Hackett, whether it's Lazard, whether it's the tackle that he brought in, Turner.
Yeah,
that just has not been good.
Randall Cobb.
He's finished, so it hasn't been good. So we got to see what comes of this now. But I do believe the coaching staff, listen, you can't fault the defense at all. They played well.
No, the defense played well.
And they were extremely well coached.
They had no margin for error.
Again, the offense was a mess. The penalties were disastrous. But again, I think Rodgers can help that. I really do. And they did keep it together at times and won some games they shouldn't have won. So I'm willing to go out here and say, listen, Saleh really did the best he could keeping it together. who would have thought the injuries that they had would have come? It's just really a difficult thing to face, and you want to always say next man up, but then that goes back to the general manager. Your offensive line wasn't prepared, and you certainly didn't get a secondary quarterback in there. You had Zach Wilson waiting in the wings, and that just didn't work.
Let's talk a little bit about so next year, are we talking about the Jets as a playoff team next year? If they improve the offensive line, do you think this Jet team do you think they'll underwhelm again? If Rodgers stays healthy, obviously. Or do you think next year will be what this year should have been?
Yeah, you gave two big ifs.
Yes.
The offensive line and Rodgers.
Yes.
Both good, both fixed. They're a playoff team.
Okay.
And they would have been this year. It's obvious. They almost, they were down the stretch. We still had hope, right? December football was over, but we had hope at one point in the season. So again, offensive line fixed, Rodgers healthy, yes, they're a playoff team. How far into the playoffs, that remains to be seen. But I think that if they do not address the tackle position in free agency and the draft, you got to do it in both. I think they're going to be in the same exact spot, and you'll see a new coaching staff in here.
All right, Michael, let's talk a little championship Sunday. I can't wait for these two games. Like Chiefs and Ravens, I've been thinking about all week long. You and I, we've chatted about it. Like it's a classic matchup. I hope it lives up to expectations. A little rain. Mr. G gave us that little forecast and update earlier in the program. But you've got Jackson, Mahomes, Harbaugh, Reed. It's in Baltimore. I mean, if the Chiefs win this game, stamp them as a dynasty going back to the Super Bowl. The Ravens win it. Lamar finally getting to the Super Bowl after 2 MVPs. What's your take on Chiefs and Ravens this afternoon in Baltimore?
Well, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and you said it was like Christmas with the Bills and the Chiefs, right?
Yes.
Couldn't get better. Well, it might get better. This is a matchup. Lamar said it. He doesn't like playing him. And when it's Mahomes, no matter how down and out they may be, this guy is going to give it everything he's got on every play. And, I really think that you have the two best teams in the AFC playing in the championship here. I just, I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Kansas City, and they're definitely going to have to take some chances to win this football game.
Yeah, they're getting 4.5 on the road today in Baltimore. And for Lamar here, for a guy that nobody wanted last offseason, and he goes back to Baltimore, gets the contract, and he's going to be the MVP of the league. I mean, Lamar, he's got Mahomes at home, and it is still Patrick Mahomes, I get it. But after the season that they had, Baltimore, a pretty lofty favorite, a 4.5-point favorite at home against Mahomes and the Chiefs. This is a game Baltimore is a more talented team. I think we've been looking toward a Raven 49er kind of collision course and getting a rematch of what we saw Christmas night out there in Vegas. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't put anything past Mahomes. I get that. But I'd be surprised if Baltimore didn't win today.
I agree with you. I mean, I think Mahomes will have his moments because he's Patrick Mahomes. But I do believe that the best team of the four is the Ravens. I also think the healthiest team of the four is the Ravens.
Yes.
And that's big. When you're talking about health, you got some issues on the Kansas City offensive line. Tooney is out. That's an enormous injury. Pacheco being banged up, he's going to play, but that's a big injury. It's going to be hard for the Chiefs to run the ball as it is. So if they become one-dimensional and the Ravens can get those linebackers all over Travis Kelce, I mean, those linebackers, Smith and Queen, I mean, they are continuing the tradition of Baltimore linebackers, and they've been unbelievable this year.
They've been great.
So I think that the Ravens can do it all. They're extremely balanced. You look at what Lamar Jackson has done on offense. He didn't run for as many yards as he did a couple years ago, but 800-plus yards rushing, finally has some receivers, and now you get Marc Andrews back?
Yes.
Like, it just keeps piling on here. So I think that's why you're seeing that spread drive up a little bit, and I think the spread's right. So unless we see something very out of the ordinary happen, I think it'll be a good football game, but I think the Ravens are going to be too much too often.
All right, what about the NFC Championship game tonight out in Santa Clara between the Niners and the Lions?
Well, you said it earlier. The Lions, it's just a great story.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Right?
Is it not? It like makes you smile. Like it's emboldening a city. Like everyone's a Lion fan.
How much do you want to root for Dan Campbell?
Well, that's it. People are hugging the players while they're pumping gas because they're thanking them and celebrating. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, and as a Jets fan, you can really relate.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's hard not to root for the Lions. It really is not. But, Francesco always had the great line, if you weren't there for the wedding, don't be there for the funeral, right? Yeah, so you're going to fear that maybe the bubble burst today in San Francisco.
Well, listen, I mean, you're going up against a team that has weapons beyond weapons. And, Debo was on the fence, and now they're saying he's playing. He's not even on the injury report.
Yeah.
So you got McCaffrey, you got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got Kittle. How do the Lions effectively defend that with a secondary that's just not that great? And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see Dan Campbell play like he plays. He's going to stay true to himself. He's going to blitz like crazy.
Yes.
Here's the problem. Everyone's all over Purdy after the bad outing last week, and that was in the rain, and we don't see rain in the forecast today. This is a really good quarterback. They kind of rained on his parade. He's better than he's getting credit for. They were talking about an MVP season throughout the year with him. People are forgetting about that. So when he gets blitzed, if he stays calm and cool, Kittle averages 14 yards a reception during the blitz, and now you got Debo on one side, Kittle on the other. I'm just wondering how Detroit's going to stop him. And they're going to have to blitz early and often. I think Goff's going to get his chances, but again, now you're talking about a quarterback that's playing outside for the first time in a few months.
Yes.
And his passer rating drops, his completion percentage drops greatly. He's not going to like the pressure, and he certainly isn't going to like being outdoors. So, again, there's a lot going against the Lions, and that's why you're seeing that spread where it is. I'm not going to say they're out of it, but I think it's going to be a very big surprise if we don't see San Francisco have their way with them today.
Now, what do you do with the spread, 7.5?
Listen, that's a tough one because you do worry about the back door.
The back door is going to be
back door's there, and
up 13, up 14, and late 7.5. Yes,
you're right, and it's quite possible it could be open. But if I'm playing that game, I'm just still way too strong on looking at the advantages San Francisco has at home. They're a healthy team. I think that they've proved it all year. I just think that, and I also think that they do have the better X's and O's coach. I mean, he's going to put a game plan together that I think is going to win the game.
49ers and Ravens.
I think so. I think that's where you got to look, and I think that's going to be a great Super Bowl.
Can I ask Jill? Jill, your lovely wife is here. Jill, what do you like today, Jill? Who do you like? You on the 49ers and Ravens as well?
Definitely the Ravens.
Definitely the Ravens. There you go.
The 49ers game, I think, is questionable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to go for the Lions. You're rooting for the Lions. That's it. There you go. You're wearing the BC Eagles. Can I mention that?
Yes, sir.
You're proud as a
Go
peacock.
Eagles.
That's exactly right. We're talking a little BC, BU hockey before you come up on the airways.
Great rivalry.
So can you tell me why you're a huge? I know the answer.
Well, it's kind of tough because I'm a BU alum.
Yes, I know.
And I tell everybody my daughter outdid me again. She committed last month to BC to swim. And so it's an exciting time for the family. She's truly an inspiration. She's done so well and worked so hard. And you just want the best.
Olivia's overcome a lot.
Yeah, she has. She's really battled, showed so much resilience and adversity, and just very proud of her. And just want her to have a great experience. So I think watching the last couple nights, BU and BC hockey, what a great environment. And seeing them play. So I think, she has a twin sister as well. She's planning on going down south to college. It might be Clemson. It might be Miami. Who knows? But, they'll be off and running, and then the little one waits in the wings for a few years until she decides where she's going.
Now, how will you work that if one's in Miami and one's in Boston College?
Yeah,
how do you are you flipping the coin about where you're going for games? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's going to be interesting. I'll make sure I get to a bunch, though. That's for sure.
That's exactly right.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun time.
Now, you're a BU guy.
I'm a BU guy.
Do you completely switch allegiances now to where it's all BC Eagles?
Yeah.
Your daughter's going to BC.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm all Eagles now. I was rooting for them last night. I was rooting for them the night before. I was rooting for BC against Notre Dame yesterday in basketball. I got the flag up at home. We're Eagles now.
All Eagles.
That's it.
That's it. Love it. Michael, I love you. And thanks for coming in here, Championship Sunday. Brendan and obviously Gina Marie. Great seeing relatives as well. Everybody's here. It's fantastic. It's a celebration. Usually it's just Zoo and myself. Yeah. That's it. So it's great that you guys are here on Championship Sunday.
No, it was great to be here. Really appreciate you having me. And listen, I got to say, it's fun all year what we do on that show. It's a great time. It's great talking football, talking Jets, talking Empire. It's just a lot of fun.
How's the car business doing? All right.
It's good. Everything's solid. It's an interesting time. Interest rates are high, and you got some unsettled issues going on out in the world. But you just keep your head down and keep pushing.
That's it. And today you get to enjoy a little Championship Sunday.
One of the better days of the year.
That's it. We only got 3 games left.
Don't depress me.
What's on the spread today? What are you having today? What are you eating?
Probably some of the usual.
Yes.
Hopefully just some good stuff. Good snack food, good football food. We'll enjoy it and have a good time watching the games.
Well, Michael, always a pleasure. All right, safe travels back home.
Thanks so much.
You got it. Michael Brown from Empire Auto giving you a little feel about what he likes Championship Sunday. Hopeful for the Jets in 2024.